religions can teach people to hate, but religions can teach people to love. Faith leaders can heal and push and remind us and reason with us and move a community to its best self. So please welcome to Justice Southbury, Reverend Shawn Garan, the senior pastor at United Church of Christ in Southbury.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. It's the first time I ever preach in the snow. There's a precedent for all things. But as Rick said, I'm the pastor of the United Church of Christ Southbury. And I'm not just a pastor. For me, I see the decline of people's interest in religion, and I think that is directly correlated to what we're seeing happen around us. Is kind of a decay of collectivism, especially when there's authors who needs these notes, right? When there's authors today like Steve Pinker who are saying we live in the best times ever, yet you ask people and we're all a little anxious, and I even think up till the election people were all in kind of in a haze. We got wars, we got all kinds of things going on, and you look to the left and they'll say it's their fault, and you go over to the right and they'll say, oh, it's their fault. That tells me something's wrong. In my house, if my wife and I are fighting like that, we can't just say, oh, see you later. We have to make peace. Why is that? Right? What is a neighbor? Right? Because we have this idea that a neighbor is somebody who lives next to us. But in reality, if we look at what a neighbor is in a bigger way, we can probably even feel it here, right? There's the ego version of us. There's Sean, and what's your name? John. This is John. That's the ego version of John, the ego version of Rick. My ego is cold right now, right? But our soul, this is what I want to introduce, our soul will drag us out in the cold to talk about being a good neighbor. So what is this thing? Because I think we've been talking about it since the beginning of time. Soul, so it comes from the Old English word so well, and it means the essence of an individual. Could we say that everybody has a soul? Could we say that everybody has ego? Yes. Do we get along with everybody's ego? No. Your ego looks different than mine. Your ego behaves in ways that I don't agree with. So that we're never going to have common ground when it comes to the ego. So we're going to have to talk about what it means to be a human being. On that, we all have that in common. And I call that soul living. Right? Ego living is go out, make as much money, and put me first. That's ego living. Soul living is, oh, Jeremy is out in the world and I'm out in the world. Jeremy is doing something, I'm doing something. Do you need help, Jeremy? Oh, let me help you. I may need help, vice versa. I'm not going to put obstacles in your way, Jeremy, for your growth and development. That is something my ego would do. And unchecked, the ego is a tyrant. So we have to get in touch, that's the religious side, with our soul. And I don't mean to be religious. I mean to use these gifts that only human beings seem to have. I never saw a lion say, I'm sick of killing antelopes. We need to move to New York and become lawyers. They don't have that power. They just act on instinct, just like the ego. The ego says, I'm hungry, and it goes and eats. If it's really hungry, it might even take somebody else's food. But the soul is the thing that keeps us connected. So what is soul living? It's waking up in the morning. It takes work, right? You want to live in a loving, peaceful world? Are you a loving, peaceful world in here? When you living by the soul means waking up in the morning, reflecting on what it means to be a human being, remembering what the heck you're doing here, that you're not just living 0 to 80, that you have a calling. Something in your soul has brought you to this world. And I think that if we started to live as more soul people, we'd start to see each other less as egos and see each other more as people on a journey to discover themselves. I think that pastor that spoke truth to power, what we'd say, was really she stopped the ego message for a second. You know, the ego message is, Jesus used to say, I love the preachers who get up there and say what everybody wants to hear. But that day, she said something not everybody wanted to hear because it disrupted things. But I saw what she did. She was playing to the ego, right? It's a day of celebration for that party. But she also said, let me just speak to their soul for a second. Now, you saw, why would anybody have a strong reaction against remembering those in need? That's the ego. You know, this idea that we're at war, it doesn't come from the world first. It comes from inside. So Jesus would say something like, pray for Trump. Pray for Trump. What? Why would I pray for him? Because he's lost connection to his soul. He's lost his soul. Jesus says, what is it for a man to gain the whole world and forfeit what? His ego? Trump is all ego. So is Biden. So is Harris. But what I want to see in my leaders is their ability to to tap into the human soul. So this go around, I think I'm not going to look to political leaders to make me a better neighbor. I'm going to look to my own soul and ask it in the morning, hey, what can you do for yourself? What can you do for your kids and for your wife? And when you go outside, remember, you're not just an ego. You're not just a lion going out to hunt. You are a human being. And you have this special gift to recognize the soul in other people. Even in animals, we can see it. And to care for them. And to lead them and guide them. Not to create more division. In reality, soul life sees the world not as I'm an American as an ego. Somebody might be from France as an ego. But as soul people, we are children of the world working together. So my call to this group is, don't forget religion. Religion may forget you. But that's when it becomes an ego religion. And you hear many of those types of messages. Just listen for the soul, and when it's missing, you be the one. Because the pastor has a soul, the religious leader has a soul, the president has a soul, and if they forget, guess who can remind them that they have one? Us. We can be the mirror. Right now, what you're doing right now, it may seem insignificant. The wind is blowing. But you're reminding Southbury that it has a soul. And souls are loving and all about unity. Right now we're just called the states. When you add the soul, we become united. Right now I think we're just the states for a little bit. But the work that you all are doing, the work that I believe churches should be doing, the work that I hope even Trump eventually wakes up to see, is that we're all just people on a journey. And in the end, did we help each other? Or did we hinder each other? I know what my God would say. Whatever you do to someone else, you've done it to you. When you saw them hungry, did you visit them? When they were in prison, did you visit them? He's not talking about the ego. He's talking about the soul. So my message is, let's all be soul people. And if you want to know more about the soul, you can come teach. Rick, you guys can come share a message at my church. Just don't get me fired. We're called a purple church, and I'm a purple pastor, meaning I preach to both Republicans and Democrats. I have no political affiliation. I am a Democrat on paper because I interned at the legislature. And there's nobody to intern for in Connecticut if you're not a Democrat. But the key is we can all make a little difference, but it doesn't have to be political. Be kind and fair to all people. What legislation would come against that? May we all be more soul-led and live lives like that. Amen. Thank you all. Yeah. Woo!